do you use cue cards and how? So I guess the importance of cue cards, how you use them. We'll come straight back to Bethan if that's okay. Bethan, you can let us know if those are an important tool for you.
So I've used them a bit. I would say some subjects I found they were more useful in, some subjects I found them less useful in. It's all about finding what works for you. So I found that when the cue cards had loads of information written on them, I didn't retain all of it, and it sort of made them pointless as a cue card because the point of them is to sort of have that short, snappy bit of information that you can remember. But I found them really good for things like maths, things like science as well. But yeah, I think it's all about what works for you. But yeah,
Absolutely.
just have a go at them and see how you find them.
Yeah, 100%. It's down to kind of how you utilize these things. Jaden, were you a big cue card fan, or you have other ways of memorizing things?
Um, I did use like cue cards, flashcards in GCSE. I definitely use them more frequently now, as I do believe that they are a very good way of revision, especially with what I'm doing because it's mainly science. And I think like for subjects which are more factual and just like wrong or right answer based, like science and maths, they can be very useful. And one of the problems that a lot of students have when they make these flashcards or cue cards is that they make way too many. So they make them and they enjoy the process of making them because it feels like you're doing a lot of work, but the actual work comes from re-looking over these flashcards. So what you want to do is maybe make a certain amount every day, and then the next day go over the ones you've just made. And this is a type of spaced repetition which you can look up as well. And after you've been through all of them once, maybe in a week you look over all of them again and you test yourself again. And then once you've done this, then you go back to a month, and after the month you look over them again, and you just keep repeating this in longer time spans. And this trains your brain to recall the information, so the link of you trying to find the correct answer stays stronger for next time, which will eventually lead to you being able to recall it in the exam.
That's a good shout. So structure and kind of repetition to the use of them to build up that kind of memory retention of the subject. And just picking up on what Bethan said there earlier, and pros and cons of using them, it's making sure that what's on the cue card isn't your notes, because your notes can be longer form. They can be things that you're capturing during class or as you read through the text that you're using. But the cue cards are a summary of the notes, so they almost come kind of like a reverse pyramid. So all the information gets dropped into the big bit up there, that's in your kind of brain, and then your notes are somewhere in the middle where you kind of refine some of that, start making notes about it, and then your cue card should just be the very tip of the upside down pyramid, where it's just the absolute key information, maybe under several headings, that help you kind of pick out important elements of a subject or something along those lines. So don't treat your cue card, as Bethan was saying, like your notes and just have loads of information on there hoping you'll remember it. It's really kind of the sharp end of your understanding of a topic that you want on there, and kind of key concepts that you might need to recall or call upon in the exams. Matthew, do you provide any advice to people about using cue cards? You a fan of them?
Yes, I am a fan, as long as they are useful. Like Jaden was saying, I think some people think I'm just going to copy out everything, or just copy out all my notes and make it look pretty and colour it in and things, and actually it's not that beneficial. I think if you're going to use cue cards or prompt cards, think about the key points that you want to put on the cards and keep it fairly simple. So for an English teacher, I might encourage people to do them for like character traits or key points about social context or something like that. And I think if you can use it and benefit from it, maybe you've got some images on there that help you to remember things, keep them fairly simple, but build them up, like Jaden was also saying, then yes, but it shouldn't be, I'm going to spend hours and hours and hours doing it if they're not going to be useful.
Yeah, that's a good point as well that we didn't make earlier, that about some people use images on their cue cards and other things to prompt them other than just words, and 100% agree and echo what Jada and Bethan said there, and yourself, in terms of use of cue cards and making sure they're really kind of on point for your subject. Great tip on the English as well, how you suggest they use for your topic. Jeremy, anything you'd add to that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's been covered. From a maths perspective, you need to be careful about what is useful with them. So they are very useful with definitions and very useful if you're trying to recall formulae. But with that, we don't know whether you're going to be given a lot of the formulae or not yet. So those are the types that's the type of content that would lend itself quite well to cue cards. But in a maths setting, definitely the most important thing is actually practicing how to do the maths. So I wouldn't advise them as being your primary strategy for maths, but it definitely does help with some things.
Good call. So make sure they're appropriate for the subject and what you're revising. And my final thought on cue cards is, I know there's resources out there where you can actually get hold of other people's cue cards, but I think if you are using it as a tool for memory, it's much better that it's your own. You've made the cue card yourself rather than you just sort of purchasing a set or you're having them passed on to you by a friend, because you won't have gone through the process of working out what the key subject points are, and therefore it won't give you the benefit of that memory retention, which is all part of the process of building the cue cards, can be part of the benefit of them. So thanks everyone for your answers on that.